Hi guys, so we are back today and we are going to do tomato sauce today. I have still the tomatoes from last year's garden that I have not had time to process. They've just been chilling out in the freezer, and today I'm going to process some of them. We're doing tomato sauce and hopefully get some tomato paste on as well. If you've seen what I did yesterday, I did tallow. And that video should be up if you want to go watch it. But right now I got to skin and stem these tomatoes. I do not do that when I put them in the freezer. They just go in exactly like this, and then they freeze just fine. And then when I get them out, this is, as you can see, not hot water, it's just cold water, and you let them soak and the skins come off super easy. See that? So I just discard the skins in a bowl, if I keep a hold of it, and then I have this pot over here, same pot I did the grease in, that I am putting my tomato sauce in. So we're going to get some of these skinned. They need to soak just a little bit longer. Some of them are already coming loose. Let's see, like that one is loose. I can go in there. Skin off that one. Okay, so that one's been skinned and destemmed. And they're still frozen. That's why they sound like rocks. So I'm just throwing them in to the pot next to me whole. And then I'm going to start cooking them down. And then when I get them to the almost the consistency, well, not, I guess not almost the consistency, when I get them cooked down enough to where they're not frozen, I'm going to take my immersion blender and blend them to where it's all smooth. I'm not going to de-seed my tomatoes. I don't de-seed my tomatoes. I have never done that, and that's because it takes too much time, and I don't have a tomato strainer. Hoping to get one soon, because with the sheer amount of tomatoes that I do, squirted you. With the sheer amount of tomatoes that I like to grow and harvest, a tomato strainer would be a good option. So hopefully by next season I will have one of those. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish de-skinning these and de-stemming them, and then I'll be back with you when I have it all done in my other pot. So hold on a minute. Okay, so I've got all of my tomatoes peeled and de-stemmed, and we have them in this big old pot. I have the pot turned on probably medium, and there's water to prevent sticking and burning in the bottom of the pan, and we are just going to let this cook down for a little bit, and then I'm going to come in here with my immersion blender and blend it all up, and then I'll let it cook down until it gets to the consistency of sauce that I want. So I'll bring you back when I'm ready to do that. Alright guys, so as you can see, it has cooked down quite a bit. I've been stirring it until it gets to this point, just to make sure nothing sticks or burns. And it has cooked down a lot, because it used to be right there, and now it's down there. It is going to cook down a little bit more. Right now, we are going to go ahead and take my immersion blender, and we're going to attempt to blend this up. Attempt not to steam up my phone, which is exactly what's happening. stop for a minute here and let that sit right there. I don't know what this is, but this piece right here, I think it's just a vine for a tomato. It doesn't want to blend up. So we're just going to take that out. Let's see how well we are. Ooh, my blender's falling over. Alright, we're going to do it a little bit longer. That's probably good. There's still some tomatoes on the actual blender, but those are just like the veins of the tomatoes. They won't grind up, which is fine. So we're gonna go ahead and put this over here. Just another quick stir. Make sure I got. Alright, so it looks like it is all blended. Yes, I do know there's tomato seeds in here. That's not gonna hurt anything. I always do with the tomato seeds. Like I said, looks like there is a chunk right there. We might grind it up one more time when they cook down a little bit longer. Like I said, I don't have a tomato strainer, so straining the seeds out I can do with cheesecloth, but I'm not going to. So we're going to let this cook down until it gets to a sauce consistency, and then we'll be back. Okay guys, so I was able to get the rest of my tomatoes out of the freezer and get about 4 big old honking bags of tomatoes. So as you can see, it's now this far from the top. We have whole tomatoes in here again, and we gotta let it cook down enough to grind it, or to blend it. I'll bring you back when we do that. Alright, so we are back here with the tomato sauce, and I have blended it up a little bit. There's still some whole tomatoes in there. Just gotta wait till it cooks down a little bit further so I can get that done. And you can see that it's cooked down from there down to there. So it has cooked down a little bit. Still got quite a ways to go, and it's not nowhere near the consistency that I want. But it is cooking. Get all the tomatoes off of the wooden spoon here. And then in the meantime, in my water bath canner, I have my jars getting hot and sterilizing. I am going to put it in quart jars, all the tomato sauce, because that's what we use when we make anything with tomato sauce, is a quart-sized jar. So we'll bring it back when it gets down a little bit further. Okay guys, so we are back, and it is almost 8 o'clock at night. I started this probably around 9 o'clock this morning. So as you can see, it has cooked down quite a bit, almost half, but not quite. I'm gonna let it go until about 9. There's a little leaf in there. We're gonna take that out. I'll let it go about 9 and see if how thick it is at 9. It is still pretty thin. It's a lot thicker than it was an hour and a half ago, but I want it thicker than that. It's also going to be, you know, thin looking because it is hot, but still it needs to be reduced about half. So if you are wanting to make tomato sauce in large quantities like this and you never have, please note it does take a very long time to get it done. It's an all-day project, and patience is a virtue. Gonna give this some good stirs just to make sure we're not sticking on the bottom and we're getting everything up. Now when I started, my wooden spoon was too small, so it covered the wooden spoon. So that's how much it's cooked down, and so it's cooked down quite a bit from when I started. So give it a good stir. You want to make sure you keep stirring it, keep everything off the bottom, and then when it cooks down on the side, like all this stuff here on the side, and then make sure you get that off, because that's part of the meat of the tomato that you want to get in your sauce, and keep all that good stuff in there. Alright, so we're gonna check back in an hour and see where we are. I've also been leaving the lid ajar just so steam can come out, so it's not all the way on. Because the more steam you let out, the more it evaporates all that liquid. So we've been doing that for the last few hours, and we're going to continue to do that until we're ready to jar it up. Okay, so we are back. It's a little over an hour. It's probably, let's see, I thought it was 8 last time. Okay, so we are back, and it's been, I don't know, I thought it was 8 o'clock last time I checked. It was 7:40. It is now a little after 8:30, probably about 8:40. So, been about an hour. So we're giving this another stir, and it is time to put our lemon juice in this. So we are water bathing this. And in order to water bath it, you have to make sure there's enough citric acid. Not really, still kind of thin, but we'll see here. You want to make sure there is enough acidity in it. Tomatoes themselves don't have enough acidity to water bath. So we are adding lemon juice. Now it's a 1/3 cup lemon juice per 15 pounds of tomatoes. And I'm probably going to do, I don't know, I have well over 30 pounds of potatoes in here. So that was a 1/3 cup that I did. And they drain it out here. So this is for 30. And it's okay if you add too much acidity. You just want to make sure you have enough. So I'm going to guess probably about 60 pounds of tomatoes is probably what I did. So we're gonna add probably 1 more cup, and then hopefully that's enough. Actually, I might just put in this whole little bottle. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Ooh, spilling lemon juice everywhere. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna put in this whole lemon juice, and this was 15 full ounces for this big pot. We're gonna call that good. Hopefully that's plenty, because I completely 100% forgot to measure my tomatoes, but I did 4 bags, and I think each bag weighed approximately 20 pounds. So you can see it's still thin but getting thicker by the minute. So we're gonna let this still boil for a little bit to make sure all that lemon juice is in there, incorporated. And then hopefully the next time we get back, it is going to be ready to can. So it has almost half. I would say it's about half, because it started here. And now it's down there. So it's probably about half the way down the pot almost, and that's about where I want it. You can see the meat, it's getting thicker. Make sure we scrape the bottom, get everything off, and I just have this at a simmer, and there's another leaf. I'm finding stems that I missed on the tomatoes every time I stir it. So anyways, I have this on a simmer, and again, my lid is ajar, so the steam can get out and it can reduce. Alright, so I'll bring it back when we're ready to can it. Okay, so we are back with the last stir, and it is almost 10 o'clock, so we are going to go ahead and can this up, and we are going to can it in quart size jars. I have my water heating up, and I already have my jars already sterilized and hot and ready to go. So don't mind my stove because it's got tomatoes all over it. Let's see. jars. We're just going to go ahead and fill them up and then put them all. My canner holds 6 jars, so we will be doing this in obviously tons of batches, and I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to get all of this done tonight or if I'm gonna have to do it tomorrow morning to finish. So when you're doing this, you want your jars and your contents to be the same temperature or as close to the same temperature as possible, and you also want the water that you're canning in to be the same temperature as well. And again, we are water bathing this, so I do have the water heated up, or heating up. It's not heated yet. All right, so splatter that all over me. Going to remove the tongs, put the tongs up here, and put this over here. Okay, so we have, and don't mind the stove, that's from the tomatoes and the water boiling everywhere. It got burnt on there. So we left an inch of headspace. So we're gonna go ahead and set this over to the side. Before we can put a lid on it, we have to wipe the rim with vinegar, and that is to get all of the residue off of it so you can have a good seal. So I'm gonna bring you back when I have them all filled. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I've got 7. Yeah, 7 jars filled. So my canner holds 7 jars. So right now we're going to take a clean rag, and you want to make sure it's something that's not going to leave a lint behind. We're just going to dip it in some vinegar, which I have setting over side, and we're going to wipe the rim. Now this is going to cut any acid, sticky, anything on the rim, so your lid will seal. And we're just going to keep doing that.
So we are unable to communicate. Her parents were passengers. Both deceased.
You dip it in there. Make sure you wring it out.
I've located some distance away. Send help.
Drip vinegar everywhere, I guess.
Sending distress signal.
I'm gonna go ahead and try not to tip this over. This is really hard to do one-handed. You also want to make sure that when you're doing this, you're also using a clean part of the rag. So if the part you're using gets too dirty, just move to another part of it. Yeah, one more jar after this, and then we'll put the lids on. And when you're making stuff in a big pot, make sure your spoon is tall enough to reach the pot, and try not to stick your wash rag in the tomato sauce, because that's what I just did. Okay, we'll just re-wipe that rim off. Okay, and then so what you want to do after you get the rim off is you take your flat, put it on, and then screw your lid on. And when you screw your lid on, you want to make finger tight. You don't want too tight because this part will bulge and you can lose your product, and you don't want it too loose because it'll come off. So just grab it with your first 2 on your thumb and until you feel resistance, and then stop. And then we're going to do that with all of them. Forgot to grab another lid. Yeah, give me 1 second here. Okay, got my other lid. That's finger tight. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put them in the jar, or in the pan of water. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so I have my water bath canner, and I already have the rack in here. Now I have the water. I don't think my burner's working. Give me a second again. Okay, now I have my pot of water on, and my stove is now working. Sometimes my burner comes loose and it doesn't want to work. Anyways, I have the rack already in, and this is just a plain water bath canner. And I have my tongs. So we're gonna just grab each jar with the tongs and set it in there. And when you're setting them in here, you want to do your best to make it to where the jars do not touch. Sometimes it's a little hard. The reason why you don't want your jars touching is because if they rattle in the boiling water, they can cause cracking by bumping up against each other. And when you do this much work, you don't want your jars to crack. So sometimes you just gotta play around. Okay, so those are all good, and the 7th one can go right in the middle. Like I said, sometimes it's hard. So there's just a little bit of space in between them. Now, when you're doing this, I gotta put some more water in it. With this canner, you have to be careful because sometimes it doesn't hold enough water. So you want at least 1 inch of water above the lid of the jar. So we're gonna do that right quick. Okay, so we got 1 inch of water above these jars. I just put another quart jar of water in there that filled it up. So for my altitude, we are going to do quart jars for 45 minutes. Now when you can, you want to do for your altitude. So look your altitude up and then go from there, because sometimes you got to add 10, add 5, add 15. You got to add 15 minutes to the time that it actually says. So the book I'm going is the ball canning book, and it says 40 minutes for quart, but because of my altitude, I have to add 5 more minutes. So we're going 45 minutes. And you start the time when this comes to a rolling boil. And I'll bring you back to show you what that looks like. Alright, so it is on to boil. Alright, so we're going to check the water here, and it looks like it is at a rolling boil. So from this point is when you want to start your time. So again, my time is going to be 45 minutes. You also want to make sure you leave the lid on the whole time it is boiling. And do not turn down the temperature. Let it boil hard the full time. So we'll be back in 45 minutes. Okay, so we are back. It has been 45 minutes, and we are going to lift this rack up and hang it on the side of the pot and give them a little bit of a chance to cool, and then we're going to take them out with our tongs. So be right back when I do that. Okay, so we have them up out of the water, and they have, a couple of them have popped already. So when you take them out of the hot water, you want to put them on a towel, because you don't want to go directly from hot to cold. It'll bust your jar, so the towel will help with that. So we're gonna go ahead and take these out. Careful not to burn.
Yeah, I guess freaking there was a figure skater fucking on that aircraft.
Alright, and the last one. Okay, so those have all come out. Alright, so they're gonna sit here, or they're gonna sit here for 24 hours, not disturbed, so they will seal correctly, and then we're going to get another batch in and out. Okay, so it is the next morning, and our jars have completely cooled off and sealed. All of them have sealed. We have 6 jars so far. I do have another half a pot that I'm going to get canned up today, and I should have another 6 jars to go with this, so a total of, actually this is 7, so I should have a total of 14 jars of tomato sauce. So all I have to do now is I'll wash these off, label them with the year and what they are, and then get them put up. If you guys like more of this content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.